Here's the boys. Tank,
Hey.
talk us through your hat, mate. I had to start on that. I'm sorry. Even though I know the answer, I had to start on it.
No, well, me and Jimmy had a private WhatsApp and I said, Jimmy, you look an absolute bellend every week with this mad fucking cap back to front to hide your unbelievably far back receding hairline. I said, I'll take the stage this week. Now, I've been a fan with Frankie this morning, lads. It's cold, so this is actually Sharon's hat.
Do you know who you look like? Do you ever remember the villain on Sonic the Hedgehog? Who was the guy at the end?
Dr. Robotnik.
Dr. Robotnik, and he used to have the big glasses on.
Well, these are skiing. This is a proper skiing. Yeah, look at that. Just go skiing now. Just get me skis and we go. Get me some snow hill and I'm skiing.
Thanks. It's a notorious hooligan item of clothing CP company. So you see Tank getting knocked out at the weekend, giving that guy some grief.
Oh, did you see that? The Chelsea fan?
Jim, she's not happy because I've stretched it with my bulb.
You know that video? The best thing I saw was someone told me at the weekend. What did he say? He came in like Steven Seagal, left like Stephen Hawking or something like that.
Jesus.
Listen, I don't mean to be funny, lad. You know if you get bingoed like that, they'd have to drag me out by my feet with my face dragging on the floor before I get in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
like, you've been bingoed, lad. At least let me walk out.
Yeah. Salvage some dignity.
At least get your mates to carry her out. Not like
and I'm not being funny. He's been knocked out by fucking Harry Potter.
Yeah, to be honest, he's had an absolute stinker there, hasn't he? Like, there's no coming back from that.
He's never living that down.
No,
to be fair, he must have a bit about him, the kid. Have you seen him on where he's in the hospital bed?
Yeah, and he's filming it again.
And he's kind of done the right thing. He's like, yeah, here I am. Everything's good. I suppose he has to, but yeah.
I probably shouldn't tell this story in the podcast, but I'm going to anyway, Jim. Sorry, mate. But the day that I have never been more proud of Jimmy Mack, we'd got into a little bit of bother, like all lads will get into growing up. And probably shouldn't tell this story. But anyway, I was separated from Jimmy. Let's just say it that way. And I was looking towards Jimmy. And fair to say, Jim, you're not a fighter, are you, mate?
I've never been a fighter, mate. Look at the size of me. My arms are like fucking spaghetti.
Yeah, so he's not got the frame for it really, and Jimmy's just a lover, not a fighter.
Built
anyway,
for speed, I am
built for what?
Speed.
Yeah, built for legging it.
But to be fair, when looking back on Jimmy at this particular moment in time, and he was faced with a bit of an awkward situation where it was like he had the choice of putting his speed to good use and going the opposite direction, or putting his guns to good use, or the limited lack of guns in Jimmy's case. And to be fair, he chose the second option, and he had a go, didn't you, Jim? It was like go gadget arm came out.
Ran about 80 meters for you, lad. I was knackered by the time I got there. That's why the punch was so bad, because I ran. I had to run so far.
But when your mates, when it's time to stand up and be counted, Jimbo was there, mate. So I appreciated that one.
I'll give it a go.
You give it a go, lad. Tank, how was your weekend? How'd Jack get on? Was he playing?
Yeah, they played Peterborough. And do you know what, lads? I don't really want to have a pop, but do you know the setup? You know, sometimes when you just think, yeah, I've got to be careful to say it. Yeah, they got beat 2-1 by.
It's not like you, mate.
But let's just say the Burnley tried this bizarre press, and I'm stood next to one of the dads and saying, I have no idea why they're trying this press, because it was like you're just killing the kids. So what they done is Peterborough had some good players, by the way. I will say that they had a very, very good left back, and they had a centre half.
Come a bit closer to the mic there, Tank, will you?
Sorry, mate. They had the centre half, and he was really good. I think he was a good player, big lad, but so calm on the ball. But you know, when you're watching the game, and I was getting frustrated, they got beat 2-1, and it was kind of like you deserve everything because you've tried to be clever in this press. What's not working? So Burnley, Burnley centre forward was on the, for some reason, was on the deep line centre midfield player for Peterborough. And then Burnley's two wide, they play like 4-3-3. Burnley's two wide players was kind of semi-pressing the two centre-backs of Peterborough. So all as the keeper was doing was getting it to the centre-back, who just clip it to the full-back. And then Burnley's was the midfield. Jack was the holding midfielder, so the two midfielders then would have to go and close the full-back down.
And
then all the fullback doing was just playing that into the centre mid player, who was then like basically 3v1 against Jack.
And they didn't adjust. Thinking, why didn't they adjust?
It's not working. And Peterborough got out every single time. And you're kind of thinking, everybody can see. All you got to do is just to go, tell you what, the number 9 of Burnley, you go and stand on the really good, because Peterborough's right side, the centre-back, was a good player, by the way. Stand on him, force it to the left centre-back. Your 2 Burnley wide wingers go and stand on the full-backs and man v man in the midfield. Job done. Yeah. They'll have to go long. And then every single time, pop, out, in they go. Attack. And it's kind of, when you're sat in there, you kind of try not to get involved because you don't want to be a dickhead, because, you don't want people to think he's played the game, he's got his A licence, but it was just so obvious that if you just made that twig. But then Peterborough's press was exactly what Burnley should have done, and they just swamped us.
Really?
And
how did you find that that process where you can clearly spot something that's going on? And you're like myself, an emotional guy. If you got something to say, you'll say it. Did you manage to keep a lid on it?
No, I text the coach.
Did you? Yeah.
I text the head of academy coach and was like, "Listen," and he's like, and I to be fair, Jack come off and just said,
he knew
too wide, basically, because then the 2 midfielders of Burnley who play alongside Jack have been both good little players, because they were doing doggies out of the full-backs. They were absolutely fucked, like gone. Yeah. You could see they were physically gone. So when they got the ball and they passed it to him, they never had the energy to do anything to go forward because they're just doing doggies.
There's nothing worse when you're playing and the shape's off. And there's certain people within the system that are having to carry a lot of the work. And at the same time, like Jack there, he's doing a doggy, but then he's also being exposed by the spacing behind him. So it's like I'm running for the sake of running, and I'm actually leaving the space that I should be in. And it's so frustrating.
It's honestly, and like, I know that if that's the way they want to do it, they want to set it up. But when you see it going so drastically wrong, you have to adapt for me, and you have to say, listen, go back to basics. And do you know what? I'm not aiming this at anyone at Burnley. I've been like a lot through my career in coaching and playing.
This is the point where he goes, I'm not aiming at this at anyone, but the coach is a prick.
No, but sometimes when you just think, keep simple, stupid. Mickey Adams, my manager, is famous saying, keep simple, stupid. Don't try and reinvent the book. It's like, if this is how you're going to press, you have to press so you can actually win the ball back. Not press to say, we're going to do this unbelievable thing, but can we get the ball back?
How did the text?
It's simple, stupid. There's an it in there.
Keep simple, stupid.
Keep simple, stupid.
There's no way. That's what Mickey said.
Keep it simple, stupid. I think
but he just keep simple, stupid. And when you think about it, it's right.
You sound simple and stupid saying it like that.
No, because you're not used to fucking proper dressing room banter, mate. You used to have all the banter against you.
Not me, lad. I'm top quality.
How did the text go down? How was it responded to, Tank?
Oh,
fuck off.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at it this morning.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Tank's one of them dads, isn't he? We'll come back to that because it's a topic I definitely want to bring up. Jimbo, how did you get on? You were a taxi all weekend, were you, for Archie?
Taxi, I had the youngest all day Saturday, which was actually decent, mate.
How did you get on? Because you and Ralph have a
we have a love-hate relationship, but I think he's turned a corner. I think when they get past that age, like 3, and they're actually sound. Yeah. So it was actually decent. We played basketball all day. We played bottle flip. We went on a bike ride. We went to feed the ducks. Went to the play barn. We had a great day.
Good dad, you.
Takeaway. We had a quality day, and then Sunday we Archie played at West Brom. And their training ground is awful for a Premier League team,
mate, It's bad, isn't it?
It's really bad. Like, the pitches are quality, to be fair, but you would expect that anyway if you're playing on grass pitches, but they've got no indoor facility, no AstroTurf. It's massive, and you've got to walk miles away. It wasn't, we've been to some training grounds, like Liverpool's, for instance, top quality. You go there, it was really underwhelming.
How'd he get on?
Yeah, they won, mate. Really, yeah, won. Tell you what, they had a striker, absolute tank. Just at 8 years old, probably 9, just used his body so well, like a big Emil Esky. Just used his body against some young lads. Couldn't get anywhere near him, and he had an absolute wallop of a shot on them, but we battered them, to be fair. Played some good football. But I'm with Tank, like, so we've got an issue.
You've not been kicking off as well, have you, Jim?
No, well, I've gone the opposite, to be fair. I used to kick off loads, Archie in particular, which we'll talk around later. But we got there. We had to get there at 10:15, and kickoff wasn't at 11. So the kids, we couldn't go in till 2:45. Kids went down around 20 past, 25 past. Now they got to walk miles away, so let's just say that was 10 minutes to get there at 25 to, right? We get down there 10 to 5 to. Kids are just booting balls, like not
no
in goals or having shots. They're just booting balls. So they're not doing a proper warm up. They're struggling, and then the first quarter they always play awful. Awful. And then Archie was lucky enough to stay on after the first quarter to second quarter, and he played mint like he was quality, scored 2 great goals. And that's what, because he's had that quarter to warm up. So I'm getting frustrated going, why are you not doing a warm up? And then Archie gets taken off, and they had a whiteboard to talk around tactics and stuff. And 3 kids were just sat on the floor, lying down on the floor, cold grass. It wasn't cold, luckily, messing around on this whiteboard. Now, as a coach, with maybe 5 minutes to go to quarter, you go, right, go get a touch of the ball, go get warm, you're coming back on after this quarter. Nothing. So we start again. By the time the third quarter Archie's on, he's awful again because he's gone hot and cold because he's not getting told to warm up properly. So stuff like that frustrates me. But I don't say anything, but I should do, really, because it's basics, that, isn't it?
Well, we may as well do it while we're on it quickly, because we had something similar with the team that I helped coach, in that we'd start games slow. And one of the biggest things that we changed was the dynamic sprints and stuff like that before the start of the game, and it get them super pumped and ready. But I said to you guys before we started this podcast, I'm having something at the moment, and I'll ask both your opinions, because obviously, Tank, you coached Jack when he was a kid. He's obviously gone on to start to have some great success now at Burnley. Jimmy, you've obviously coached Archie. Archie's doing well. I'm having a thing at the moment with my son where I obviously coach him. I've coached him since the age of 5. But he's got this thing where he constantly looks over to me for approval and to see my reactions. And he's a cracking little player, don't get me wrong. Proper little firecracker, quick. We'll maybe talk about that in a sec. But I can see that he's visually looking to my face for a reaction. And yesterday, we'd conceded a couple of goals towards it. Great win for the lads. They won 7-3, whatever. And a couple of the goals went in, and I was kind of reacted to the goals going in. Nothing to do with him, but he thought he was looking at my reaction. And when the game was finished, my part was wrong here. I was still thinking about those 2 goals, and I probably should have just forgot about them. I was delighted with how the lads had played, was really happy or whatever, but he'd got it into his head that my reaction was related to him, and he wasn't happy, right? So I suppose my question, I'll come to you maybe first, Tank, is how can I cut those apron strings, and any tips on being dad and coach? Because sometimes I look at it, I'm like, am I helping him here? I know he likes me being his coach, but at the same time, I also like being dad. Do you know what I mean?
It's a tough one, mate, because no matter if he stood on the coach's side or the parent side, he's going to look over for approval. Like I'm sure, mine and Jimmy's lads is exactly the same. It's different now. Jack's older, he understands a lot more. He's 17 now. So, but at that age, mate, it's kind of like you've kind of, when you're coaching them, you kind of just got to treat them as just a kid playing football. Like, I've had that with Jack. You kind of like, you just have to sit down and just tell him, if I'm shouting on the pitch because we've conceded the goal, it's not directed to you. It's directed like, come on, boys. But look, at that age, you just let them fucking. It's a tough one, mate, and it's hard to pull away from dad and coach. But maybe sit down and just say to them, if I'm shouting on the pitch, it's not aimed directly at you all the time because I'm your dad. I'm also the coach of the other kids as well.
Yeah, we had that chat in the car, and you know what it's like. It's trying to find the right words or whatever. And he's an emotional little guy anyway, just like his old man. So I know why he kind of builds these things up. But yeah, it's a tough one. What did you find, Jim?
So I was horrendous as Archie's coach because I wasn't full coach. I wasn't coaching everyone. I was the assistant to the coach. So basically I took it upon my role to motivate Archie, because in our team Archie was a standout player. He's the only one who's gone on to an academy, and I was awful to him, like really bad. And it's only since doing this podcast with Tank that I've sort of calmed down. I do slip up every now and again.
He changed my opinion on something when he spoke about the video. Was it the video stuff and the type of information?
It was more around the stuff of just be there. Don't. They know when they've done well and they know when they've done bad, and just be there for them and help them when you can or when they ask for it. So I've done a lot of that. Now Archie now does exactly what Josh does. Every time anything happens, he looks at me because he thinks I'm going to get mad. Now it's going to take time. But what I've started to do, regardless, and it's different because I'm not coach anymore, but he still looks at me. Whenever he looks at me, regardless if it's amazing or bad, I give him a smile and 2 thumbs up. That's all I do.
Positive reinforcement.
Not positive reinforcement, because what I want him to do is get bored of seeing that. Because every time he looks at me, he's going to go, I know what Dad's going to do. So then he doesn't need to look at me anymore. So it will take time, and he's starting to get better at it. So every time he does it, it's just simple, yeah, well done, mate. Keep going. And that is it. So I don't want him to constantly keep looking at me, because he should be concentrating on the game. Like, he has a real knack for not looking at the ball. He looks at the ground, he looks everywhere else, but he doesn't look at the ball like kickoffs and stuff, because he's getting into his position. So that's what I've started to do. But when I was coach, I really struggled because I knew how good he was, but I couldn't vocabulate that to him, if vocabulate's a word.
No, I know what you're going for. Yeah, it's a tough one. I have this mental battle with myself all the time, because he's, as I said, I just want to make sure that if I'm helping him the best way that I can. And sometimes as dad, you're caught between what should I say as a dad here? What should I say as a coach? And I just want to try and find the right words. So it's definitely one we're working on. But just quickly, just to finish, I tell you what, lads, I had a proud dad day moment, and you boys were right there with me with the videos that I was sending. Jesus Christ, he was running in the Dublin Championship 60 meters. I can say with confidence he did not get any of his pace from me. His mum was a sprinter for Ireland, so it's definitely the Kenyan genes in him. But oh, lads, it was so good. Like, there was 3 races, and the lad he was running against in the first race was the All-Ireland champion, and they've ran against each other before. Josh beat him once, and Josh has lost a couple against him. And they were drawn together in the first heat, and it was the last race, and I was kind of looking at it thinking, oh, wonder if his confidence is going to take a hit if he doesn't win this one or whatever. And all the other heats had been plus 9 seconds, and Josh ran his first heat, beat the All-Ireland champion, and did it in 8.9 seconds. So it was the quickest of the day. Then went on to the semi-final, won the semi-final, 8.8 seconds, so went quicker again, and then got in the final against, again, the same lad was back in the final. And I swear to God, like, you've seen the video, it was like something out of a movie. Like, there was about 5 steps between him and the rest of them, and he got 8.73, I think was his time. And me and Noreen, like, you're meant to be composed as parents.
Yeah,
we were like, on the video. Yeah, we're like, go on, Joshua. And they're like, all these like posh people looking up, going like, who are these absolute psychopaths in the back? It was honestly, lads, one of the best days. Absolutely knackered though. Absolutely knackered.
Officially the fastest kid in Ireland as well now.
So yeah, I said to you, I was like, if he beats the All-Ireland champion, does that make him the quickest kid? And Tank is like, yep. So I'm like, right, I'll take that.
Doesn't it? If you beat Usain Bolt, you're the fastest man in the world.
Yeah, I will go with that. Lads, football, right? So a couple of things that we've got on our list, but we can only really start in one place. Jimbo, get your stats out, lad.
It's up and it's ready, guys.
Is it good or bad news? Because I've had such a busy weekend.
For you, good news. I don't know. You're fucking pulling something out of the bag.
Have I done well?
Yeah. Not correct, though. You've done all right. You're just ticking along very nicely. Tank. Oh, Alan.
Is this why he's got his hat on? Because he's already shaved his hair off.
So bad. He's just so bad. And
do you know what? Some of mine were really close with last-minute goals, like Brighton.
Yeah, well, to be fair, if
VAR has killed me, because Brighton scored a goal which should have been 2-1.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
We'll come back.
And that knobhead at Southampton, 1-0 up with 10 against 10 men, he deserves sacking him.
He's gone, mate. So they heard it. That's it. Now he's gone. So yeah.
Well, I had 2-0 as well. So Southampton scoring's killed me. So for the totals for the weekend, I got 3 points with the game to go tonight. Tank got
Who's on
1
3, Jimmy?
point.
You froze then, sorry.
1 point for you, mate.
How many did you get?
3.
Oh, the gap is
he's
closing.
He's giving it the big and he's still 9 points behind me.
No. And Homer, he got 5 again. Just steady away. So the totals overall with the game tonight is Homer on 16, Tank 9, me 5. So I'm 4 points behind. But if Liverpool win tonight, that goes down to 3 points, Tank.
So just let me get this corrected. Right. You're still behind me.
Yeah, but if I get the correct score tonight...
fucker for being 5 points behind me, mate.
4.
Lads,
You're
I am absolutely firing away here.
Mate, you are on fire, you know.
I wish I was this good with me accumulators. I'm very annoying. Okay, so you touched on VAR, Tank. There's only really one place that we can start, and I'll come to you on this. I mean, what in the hell has gone on across this game week in terms of some of the decisions? I mean, I have to say, obviously, there's some big ones. Obviously, Brighton with the goal from the line being drawn from the wrong defender. Arsenal had a goal ruled out against for them against something similar. Chelsea handball versus West Ham. I'll caveat this, because we're obviously going to slag off VAR, right? But I have to say one slight positive. I actually have liked Howard Webb's response in that he's fronted up here and he's gone, we've made a big mistake. We're on this. We're going to fix it. It's nice and refreshing to see that because it's not always been the case. We've never had explanations properly. Just these faceless people in Stockley Park get to make shocking decisions and we don't get any accountability. So I think fair play to him for that. But let's be honest here, Tank. Like, these are big decisions that can decide titles, can decide, ultimately be the difference between a few million quid depending on where you come in the league. An apology doesn't quite cut it, does it, for drawing the wrong line from the wrong defender?
No, and I think it's the Arsenal one. They
didn't even draw a line.
I might be wrong here. He
didn't even do it. Yeah, he was looking for something else. Yeah, he's looking for something else.
So I've got to be honest with you, lads, right? Fair play to him coming out, but just get back in your fucking box and sack all of them who's involved at this now, because enough's enough. If you're so bad at, we've been speaking about this since it come into play 2-3 seasons ago now, right? And it's getting to a stage now where it's actually getting worse. There's no improvement in this. I mean, how can you honestly come out and say, I forgot to draw the lines, lads, fucking hell, that's not a bit of banter.
I had a heavy one last night, man. Not quite had it.
Fucking hell, I was having a wank, having a bit of a whiskey or something, watching the game, and I forgot to draw the line. I mean, this is, like you say, this is livelihoods at stake. This is jobs at stake, titles, promotions, relegations, everything's at stake with this. And to come out and say that we've not drawn the lines, for me, that is an instant sack. Fuck off, you'll never work on this again. It's got to a stage now where you've got to seriously question whether this needs binning now full time, because it's week in, week out. There's issues.
Hold on a second. What the hell, Jim? You're right, lad.
I don't know what that was like. A magnifying.
Gotta hydrate, lad. Hey, if there's any tip I can give anyone, it's stay hydrated, boys.
Jesus,
you want everyone out there.
So you won't have a shower, but you'll drink 75 litres of water a day.
That's why I don't
sweat,
he just
pisses on himself and that's him done. He's washed.
Hey, mate, Bear Grylls can do it, so can I. Don't worry about that.
So you make a point there, though, Tank.
We've something's got to give on this now, boys, because it's getting, you look at the title race there, if Arsenal's winning, then, City go and win, there's no difference. There's still 5 or 8 points with the game in hand or something now. But now the gap's there and it's kind of like they're playing each other. It's becoming a huge issue. And for me, and I've said it from day one, we never had these issues or worries or talks when VAR wasn't involved. It needs fucking right off now for me.
Yeah, it's certainly at that point, I think, Jim, when you're looking at, and let's look at our own, our own lives, anyone listening in their current day jobs. If you're making an error that could be the root cause of millions of pounds worth of losses for your key stakeholders, which in theory are the clubs, and they come 5th instead of 6th or 8th instead of 10th, whatever. That is a multi-million-pound loss that your decision or error is the root cause. But they continue to make them. So is this, like Tank says, I understand the theory is, get rid of all of the referees or the assistant referees or those in Stockley Park. Or is there a wider discussion here? Is this enhancing the game? I'll give you a line here, Jim, right? So basically, yeah, good start to the week.
Not even a Dublin yet.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'll chop that up. What you said? I was going to say chop the video up. Oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's it. Don't leave it clumpy.
I was going to say chop that. Oh my God.
Good.
I was going to say chop a video of that, but that came out completely wrong. Jesus Christ. What it was, the line that I was going to give you was, they talk about human error related to the analysis of the offsides. Forgive me, Jim, but was the point of VAR to not reduce or remove human error? It seems to be getting worse, not better.
VAR is, it's awful. I don't know. I don't understand how we've moved so far away from the original statement of clear and obvious errors. How have we moved so far away from that? Whereas now we are checking every single little detail. So
hoping that they find something. Hoping that they find something.
Yeah. Because the original source of VAR was to be for clear and obvious errors. Man's miles offside, linesman doesn't flag, goal. Oh, that's clear and obvious. An absolute stonewall of a penalty. Doesn't give it, clear and obvious. Not little trips, falls, fucking foreskins being offside. It doesn't, it's not meant for that. It wasn't meant for that. And I feel people are just doing it to create something for someone. So is this a thing to create something for referees that are no longer referees? Because that's what it feels like. Now, an apology
for the
now.
boys, like, give them a role.
An apology now from Howard Webb is, I think he's gone, oh shit, this one's a bad one, so I need to apologize. But it doesn't change anything. These mistakes have been made before, and we keep continuing to make the same mistakes. So at what point do you go, right, I can't say sorry again? No, it's like cheating on a girlfriend. You do it once and you apologize. You keep doing it 95 times and you keep apologizing. You're going to go, well, you're going to keep doing it, aren't you? Because that's the nature of it. So it needs ripping up, it needs reinventing, and it needs something doing with it along the lines of TMO in rugby or whatever you want to do with it, appeals, whatever. I don't care, but fuck this one off because it's shite.
Yeah, I think that's the key point. And like you said, actually, from the very start, Tank, you should have listened there. Like, let the referees referee the game. If there is something like a serious foul play where some lads left an elbow in and nobody spotted it, absolutely use VAR to go back, to make sure that guy goes off. If there, as Jimmy said, a clear and obvious error. So I'm not talking like these little finer detail things where they're spending ages trying to find something. Let the referee the game. If there is something that fundamentally changes the result of the game, yes, they should spend time doing that. But at the same time, you have to make sure you get them right. Tank, they're not even getting them right, mate. So they're slowing down the game. They're costing people points. There's still human error involved, and it's directly impacting the results of the games. If there was ever an example of something that is not fit for purpose in its current state, it's this.
See, the problem that I have with it as well is all of them points what you've just said, but the whole top and bottom of particularly this weekend is they're actually not doing the job. The VAR people are actually not doing the job. Now,
do you think it's people or technology,
offside,
Tank? Sorry to talk about it. Do you think it's people or technology that's the problem, or both?
Well, it's not the technology, Jamie. Is it? If the man in the fucking wherever he is in front of the computer is not drawing the lines to check what's offside, I mean, that for me, that's just an instant sackable offence. I mean, they've just come on my phone now. The fella who was in the VAR tonight for Liverpool Everton has been stood down.
Changed,
his performance over the weekend, and he isn't even one of them who done the big mistake. So they must be looking and going, well, he's shit. My issue, Jamie, we've had this on a podcast for a long time now, is the referees in this country has been very substandard for a long, long time. really poor standard of refereeing. There's only one or two who stand out. Now, the problem is they've all retired, but they're all the ones who's making the decision in the VAR now. So we've got substandard idiots making decisions what they used to get wrong on the pitch. But I don't understand how you can look at a screen and go, I could tell that Arsenal Brentford's goal was offside just by saying it. That's offside. That sat in my house. So I don't really listen. I'm not even. I think it needs to go. I think it needs to go, and we need to go back to the referees and human error.
Jim, I want to come to you because next topic that we got on the list is, well, it actually came in. There's a question from one of the listeners, and basically, Kudze, I think I've said that right, wants to talk about Pep's outburst on Stevie G, right? I have my Liverpool hat on. You're always the voice of reason for me and Tank. Before you come to me and Tank, who's probably going to call for the men in white jackets to come and pick Pep up. What did you make of it? Because it was a bit odd, Jim, no?
It was odd, and I think I get what he's trying to do. So what he's trying to say is Man City are being called cheats, which is fine, right? That's and they've bought the Premier League or they've won the Premier League because of these rules that they've broken. But what he's trying to say is the only reason City won the league that year is because Steven Gerrard slipped, right? Steven Gerrard doesn't slip, Liverpool go on to win the league. So that's what he's trying to say is, that's our fault. Because we won the league that year, so it's our fault. So he's being very facetious in what he's saying. He's going, we're being blamed for winning all these leagues and the nefarious ways we've done it. So, we weren't going to win the league that year because Steven Gerrard slipped. So we did that. That's us. It's our fault. So that's what he's doing. It's not a great way of doing it, but I understand what he's saying. He's trying to be clever in his own right. So, but yeah, from his point of view, it seems to be like he's standing by a decision and then he's going on. That's going on the offensive. That it doesn't need to say that. It doesn't need. You can defend all you want, but you do not need to go on the offensive here. And that's what it seemingly looks like he's doing with that talk, saying, you're telling us we're doing all this. Well, that's pointless to me, and it's probably done more worse. But what it also has done is probably taken away from the fact that they're under investigation. So it's whether he's done it knowing that or he's done it just to be facetious and get a reaction. And he's probably got what he wanted out of it.
Where are you on this one, Tank?
I think he's lost the plot. I'm being honest with you. I think he's lost the plot. The way he's come out and said all Premier and he's named Daniel Levy and all of that, like it's mad. There's not a single club. The fact of this matter is, Jamie, is not one club has gone to anyone and said this. This is the Premier League. This is the Premier League who has investigated the emails what UEFA got back in the day, and UEFA couldn't do nothing about it because they went to the Court of Arbitration, whatever. And the Premier League's done a 4.5-year investigation. Liverpool haven't. Everton haven't. Man U haven't. Tottenham haven't. This is the Premier League and their lawyers. The bang to rights. Everyone knows the bang to rights. They've been doing it. They got away with it, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you got away with it, but it's going to come back and bite you. But the way he's attacking like clubs and Daniel Levy and the Gerrard one, I honestly think he's shown major signs of cracking under the pressure, Pep, at the minute. I genuinely do.
It's weird. I have always felt like, I have to caveat this by saying I think he's a genius. All the stuff that people say about Pep, I think he's a fantastic coach, revolutionized the game in certain periods with certain teams. Couldn't respect him anymore from that side of the game. I find him awkward to watch. I've always found him a little bit awkward to watch. He seems like a type of fella that just doesn't enjoy the characteristics and the qualities he's been given it. And he, like, when you're a doctor and you know too much information and you could, if you get a headache, you could basically like self-diagnose yourself with 20 things wrong with it. It's not like he's got too much information in his brain and he doesn't know how to compute it or handle certain situations. And for me, my response to that was I found it odd. I found it uncomfortable. I found it needless. And it seems to me like he's choosing to go down a route of kind of dare I say, conspiracy. There's like a conspiracy to get Manchester City. And I don't think there is a conspiracy to get Manchester City. I think the investigation... Go on, Jim.
I was saying, I don't think there's a conspiracy. I think...
But I think he's making it seem like
I know
like
he's
everyone's against
it.
this. Do you know what I mean?
But I think as a club, if you've got an opportunity to throw, stick a needle in City in any which way, shape or form, I think you're going to do it because of how good they've been over the years. So
I don't think it's got nothing to do with how good they've been, Jimmy. It's like the problem what I have with City is, listen, as a team and as players and as a manager,
they're amazing.
Fucking hell, they're incredible. Yeah. I mean, some of the games used to sit and watch them. It used to be like, it's just fucking, they're so good. It's untrue. That's never been in doubt.
But the Sterlings and the Sanés and the Agueros and the movement of the front, like it was a joy to watch. Yeah.
But what is in doubt and what makes me actually does make me laugh is when they announced that globally they're the biggest side in sport. You're like, you can't fill your own fucking stadium. You that
is the one, isn't it?
And you're like, so you've got more income than the fucking New York Knicks, the New York Giants, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Man United, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal. And everyone knows you haven't. Because outside of Manchester, nobody really knows who they are. Nobody. If they went to America, they'd probably get about 5,000 in a venue. So that's my issue. And that's what's fucked them. That is what's fucked them. As a side, they're a joy to watch. Absolute joy.
Do you think there's an element of this, Jim, where Pep is using it as, and I think this could be the case, because I still have City as my favourites to win the league, right? I feel, and this was a question that come in from Fred Flunk, who said, are Arsenal about to implode? And it's all kind of linked, because I think Pep is going to use this to his advantage to put a rocket up the players. Everybody's against us. Let's go out and win. We've got a massive game around the corner now this week on Wednesday. Hope I got the date right because I got loads of abuse the other day on TikTok because I didn't know the day of the game. So I think it's Wednesday.
Shit host.
Didn't do my research. But that's a massive game. No two ways about it. Do you think that Pep is using this to fire up his players? It's us against the world. And how big a game? Like, what are you? People talk about the 6-pointer. This is as big as they come, isn't it?
I hope he is, yeah, because he should well be, regardless of whether they're guilty or not. That's the manager's prerogative, and use every ammunition you've got. So he certainly well should be. And I've said this for the last, I think, since we restarted after Christmas. Whoever wins this game wins the league,
because of momentum, obviously, because it's not
because of momentum, because it's a kick in the balls for both. Like if City lose this. That's they will always had this game in their mind going, regardless of where we are, if we beat them and get 3 points back on them, we're right back in this. Whereas Arsenal, if they get the 3 points, we'll be right, we're they're dead and buried. They've got all this on them. This is City's best opportunity to put an absolute dampener on Arsenal's season. So whoever wins this game, I guarantee, maybe I shouldn't say that, will win the league.
Where are you on this one?
I've said it for the last few weeks when Arsenal were 8-9 points ahead. I said I still think whoever wins this game will win the league.
What about you, Tank?
I think Arsenal beat them.
You've been very vocal that Arsenal are going to win the league. You're sticking to that, yeah?
I'm absolutely 107%.
At the Etihad.
It's not at the Etihad. It's at Arsenal.
Come on,
no, it's at Arsenal.
I thought it was at the Etihad. Is it not?
No, I'm just looking at it now. Wednesday, 15th of Feb, Arsenal City. 7:30 kickoff.
Don't you know when the games are, Jim, and where the games are at? Come on, Jim.
I don't want, mate.
Professional podcast.
I openly admit my downfalls. I'm not trying to fool anyone. I know nothing.
No, I just think I think Arsenal beat them, and the reason I think Arsenal beat them is I think you can get. I mean, Aston Villa were awful and are awful, and you could have scored 4 or 5 goals against City yesterday. I thought you can get at City. I think This is Arsenal's defining moment of the season, and I think they're going to beat them. And you look at remember the Man United game, and Man U went 1-0 up against Arsenal. That stadium absolutely erupted, and I think there's a cauldron being built for this game on Wednesday. I think the real Arsenal are turned up. They've not showed up. They've had a bit of a dip. They've not showed up, and on the back of that, I think Man City are really going to target the Champions League, and the Champions League is in 6 days later than that. And I think they're going to be looking. They've got one eye on that for me personally. This is Pep's last season at Man City. You've heard it here. This is Pep's last season, and he'll want to go out with the Champions League before they get charged.
Is that inside info there, Tank? Exclusive, boot room exclusive?
No, it's not. I've just put my goggles on. And
He's been looking through the world through his goggles.
I've just seen the future.
They are.
So I think Arsenal beat them.
I want to stay with you, Tank, right? Because we've got about 15 minutes left. I want to try and we've got a couple of listener questions to get through, and a couple of them are good ones, right? So, but I want to come to you on something that I've seen today.
Questions weren't good ones.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Don't you try and get me into trouble with our listeners, Jimbo.
Sounds like
Stare in the pot. They were great questions. I'm glad they were asked. I want to stay with you, Tank, because this is a guy that you stepped into the shoes of. When you joined Nottingham Forest, he had a big impact on you personally. You spoke very well on in terms of how he tried to help you integrate into the Forest team. This is something that I've seen online before, and I was like, oh, that made me feel a bit uncomfortable. So I wanted to get your opinion on it, right? Saw a video before. Simon Jordan, love him or hate him, I respect him because he gives an opinion, and I just think the world is full of people that are scared to give opinions now. So whatever side of the fence you sit on, he invokes a reaction, and I think that's good. That's a good place to be. He invoked the reaction for me before, where I was like, "Oh, you're being a bit of a dick there." I didn't like what he was saying, but I respected him for saying it. And basically, he was sat in the Talk Sport studio. Stuart Pearce was the other guest, and Jim White was stirring the pot, absolutely, because Simon Jordan was very critical of Harry Kane missing a penalty for England in a big game and accused him of bottling it, right? So Jim White took this opportunity with Pearce sat opposite Simon Jordan and said, do you share the same view that Stuart Pearce bottled the penalty in Italia 90 when he put it over? And to be fair to Simon Jordan, he stood his ground and he said, yeah. And I was surprised, that he had the balls to do that, because Stuart Pearce looked like he wanted to swing a dig at him right there and then. His face completely changed. But I wanted to get your opinion on this because, look, I'll give you my 2 pence worth. I will never say that somebody loses the bottle for missing a penalty. I'd say they lose the bottle for not stepping up for the penalty. I'd call someone a shitbag for that or question them for that. But surely stepping up in the highest stages with the most on the line, a country behind you. I mean, coming to a man, am I right in saying your record from the spot wasn't great as a professional? I feel like we discussed that before. Have I got that completely wrong? What do you make of it?
Took one, hit both posts, keeper saved it, never took one again in the knockout game, in the cup knockout
0% record from the penalty spot. That's some going.
That's me.
What did you make of it?
I like Simon Jordan. I really like him. I think he's good, and he is what I suppose a journalist should be. He's got an opinion, and it's a bold opinion, and he sticks to it. But I'm with you on this: that if you've got a set of bollocks to step up and take a penalty at any level, never mind in knockout tournaments for your country, in World Cups and European Championships, you have a big set of gonads, in my opinion. Missing a penalty is not bottling it. It's just you've missed a penalty. If you have a shot on goal and it goes wide, you've not bottled it. You've missed the target, and that's the same situation. So I seen the video and I was actually fucking laughing because I've seen a few of them Stuart Pearce stays in training when I've had one of them when it was my first day in training and I never smashed one of my fellow players, and I got the stare and was like, don't you fucking ever not smash him again. I'm like, he's my teammate. So I thought Pearce was going to fucking rip his throat out. But you've got to give Simon Jordan credit because he's backed himself and he's backed it up. And he said, well, yes, he did bottle it in his little accent. Yes, you did bottle it. But that's not bottling.
He was Jamaican, yeah.
A shit out is what you would be like, oh, well, it's me.
Yeah. That was different. Oh, yeah. No, Stuart's a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jim? Because you weren't a big fan. You were a flair player, as someone who had a bit of confidence on the pitch. You never liked the old penalties, did you?
No, I was bad at pens. Still am now, even when playing in whatever dog and duck vets league. I wouldn't. People expect you to want to go up and take penalties, and I'm the same. So I would never call anyone a bottler for not wanting to take a penalty, because it's all intrinsic. You can't force someone to feel something. It's like back in the day where people try to force people to be straight when they were gay. You just can't do it.
Where are we going?
I'm just saying, when you intrinsically feel something, you can't do anything about it. So back to the Simon Jordan thing, like, fair enough, his opinion's wrong. I don't agree with his opinion. His opinion's wrong. But at least he's gone, yeah, I do. Like, yeah, you are. Like, what are you going to do about it? Like, at least he's not tried to backtrack out of it, and he's stood by what he said. What he said's completely wrong. You don't bottle taking a penalty or bottle missing a penalty. You just miss a penalty.
Tank, when you're stepping up in front, when you missed your penalty, how many people were in the stadium?
Probably 30,000 people.
What do you like? Because I think the most I'm trying to think, obviously it's not even comparable. And you do get the old jitters. Like, that walk is a long walk from the halfway line. What's it actually like? You know the feeling when you it must be horrible.
I remember it because it's like it was one of the worst feelings. Like, it's just horrible. I remember walking up to taking it, and I've changed my mind about 6 times, and I'm thinking to myself, just put it in the left. I'll whip it in the left-hand side. I mean, listen, I'm not being I had a fucking unbelievable left foot. I could put it on a sixpence from anywhere. And I'm like, I'll put it in the bottom left. No, I'll go. Did
you like going across with your left foot across the keeper?
No, I'd have just normally whipped it. If in training, I'd have just got it left foot and whipped it left side and just fucking wazzed it, and the keeper wouldn't have got anywhere near it. And I used to do it all the time in training, but then I'm thinking, no, I'll go across and I'll go into the right-hand side. And this is while I'm walking up to take the fucking penalty. And then I'm like, no, I'll just absolutely smash it straight down the middle. And if he dives, it goes in. And then I've done none of them. I've just done this little pathetic, little curly shot, like with the post, and then run along and hit the other. And I'm like, I'd have been laughing at me if I'm watching it, thinking, what's he done there? And I'm like, oh, everything just went wrong. And after that, I was like, we went through in the cup, and I was like, I will never, ever, ever, ever take a penalty again as long as I've got a hole in the ass.
So funny, isn't it? Because you're walking up and you're like, the age-old rule, don't change your mind, pick a corner, good connection, and you do none of those three things, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. Right, okay, I want to finish on these questions, right? So come to you first, Jim. Question from Steve Turk, and Steve wants to know your top 5 most annoying players or managers.
See, I did have time for this, but it was rushed, so these might be yeah, they're a bit rushed. So I've tried to mix managers and players, because I didn't want to just do all players. And I've left one out controversially because I'm not sure on the way that our listeners think. So first,
Jim?
Hey?
Who's the player you've left out?
Well, then I'm telling everyone only, but I'll tell you, it's Matt Letizia. And it's not
why is that controversial?
It's not for his football abilities, for the massive bell end he's turned into after finishing playing football.
I'll be honest, I'm going to make a controversial statement. I reckon Tank agrees with a few things that Matt Letizia says.
Oh, yeah, defo.
Do you, Tank?
Pigeons have all got batteries in.
They're fucking right, they have.
Steve Jobs is listening to us through.
Yeah. Didn't see any pigeons during COVID, did you?
Listen, I've got a video what I'm going to send to you later in the US court. Have you seen it?
No, go on.
So
you got him started now. Now.
Listen, in the US court, right? They've got the head of whatever compliance or whatever it is in Twitter, who's now no longer there. She's been sacked, and she says to the judge in court that she was told by the FBI that all COVID vaccine negative stuff had to be deleted and them accounts. And like what the judge is saying, so this professor who's got a Harvard degree in medicine, you know more than him. And she said, no. She said, but you deleted all of his posts to say, do not get this vaccine. It's got this, this, this. And the judge actually says, I've got asthma and have a heart murmur since my second COVID vaccination, but you decided to delete it all. So that's my conspiracy. I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, do you know, actually, on this point,
I won't listen to it.
I used to work at Twitter when she was there. So, like, I've seen that video. It's interesting. It's worth a watch. It's anyway. Let's look. We've said that we'll never skip or dodge difficult conversations.
Right.
There's that you should. Social media companies have to be very careful with what they do and don't show, and I definitely think that is an important case. So it is worth a watch what Tank sends you, but he might then send you something where like,
just be careful.
Scream in bed.
Yeah, basically. So go on, Jim.
Right, so I've gone Harry Redknapp, and I don't know why. He just seems to be doing my head in since, like, it's just the way he talks and, like, how he is.
Terrific, yeah. Player, what a player.
Terrific player. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know about it. It's like...
You've had enough of Harry Redknapp.
I've had enough of him, yeah. And it was like, he did a half-decent job at Tottenham, but he had Gareth Bale at his world-class best, and... You know, ever since then, he's like, he won the FA Cup with Pompey, didn't he? But,
next up.
Stan Collymore.
Oh, I used to like Stan Collymore.
Can't be doing
He was actually one of my favourite Liverpool players.
Hey, it's not as a football player. Can't be doing with wife beaters. Can't be doing with it.
Okay, fair enough.
Alleged.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty... I've gone for Nathan Jones, as a new entrant.
I'll be honest, he's an happy
on me. That guy does some absolute.
He's been doing your heading for ages, hasn't he?
He's been having some of your lines. You've been chopping up like
allegedly.
What is he on?
See the one where he's going on about settling down with a Welsh missus and a
I wanted to
teacher.
do better. Like, what, mate? It's good if his missus was Welsh. She'd be fuming at home. But like you're saying, he got Luton into a world-class team and all this. He's all my
best
God.
statistical side in Europe. Luton Town.
Mate, what is this kid on?
He'll be dropping his championship manager record soon.
He'll be back at Luton next month or next season.
Yeah, that's a good shout, Jim.
So he's gone in just for recent times. El Hadj Diouf was just a massive
he was
like spitting in everyone.
You can't be spitting, yeah.
And then I was struggling on the last one for the short one, so I've just gone for Pepe just because he was an horrible bastard. He'd bite you, he'd like pinch your dick, he'd do all sorts. He would. They're just fingers up the bums. That's all, like just to put you off the game.
It's like a normal training session with you, that Jim.
Yeah, like a Friday night.
What about you, Tank?
So, right, because the question is, because I read this, so it's 5 players, even if they're not playing now.
You can be, honestly, the 5 most annoying players, managers, coach, anything, anyone that have God, he used to do my head in.
Right.
Or she.
The first one, obviously, it's clear, is Gary Megson. He's the biggest strap-on that's ever walked the face of this earth. Do
you know what? I'd love to try and record. We should try and do a bit of content like the face-off, Gary Megson versus Tank.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? I'd rip his head off. But it's got to be Gary Megson because he's an ugly ginger. He was so bad as a football player.
Hold on, we might have ginger listeners here, Tank. Come on. Jimmy's half ginger.
Yeah, I'm ginger, lad.
Other gingers available.
Aren't you ginger, Tank?
Fuck off.
Got ginger beard.
Black hair, mate. So is the ginger there?
I don't know. There was an old school photo of you.
Lift that hat up again, Tank.
No.
Come on, lad.
How come you turn you that way, right? And it goes that way, but it looks that way.
Don't get him started with the mirrored image.
I don't do that.
Mind's blown.
We'll explain it later.
That side. That's done me, that.
We'll explain it later, mate.
I'm touching my right-hand goggle, but it's on my left hand. You have to explain that one. Yeah. Right, so anyway, and I'm going to be honest with you, lads, right? And you'll agree with me here. This human is the biggest cock I've ever come across in my life. He was a bang average player. He was quick and thick.
If you don't say Jimmy Mack here, I'll be absolutely fuming.
His punditry now is possibly the worst I've ever come across in my entire life of watching or playing football. He's the biggest prick that's ever come across anything. And it's Gabby Abonlahor.
Good shout.
Lads, the lad is an absolute bellend. Yeah, and I've seen a quote from him where he actually says, I'm in Jurgen Klopp's head. Really? You can't even speak. Your tongue's that big that you can't
Oh,
speak properly. You're slurring. You're like,
no,
you're
don't go down that
Yeah.
route. You and him have
Anyway,
crossed.
next one.
Next one.
So anyway,
Gabby Ogbon the Hort, yeah.
Bruno Fernandes.
Who?
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. Defo.
Look, I know his numbers are good for Man U, but his numbers are good because he's a cheat. And like when he got found out when he had to actually play a position what you're supposed to, but he just irritates me in every shape or form. Like yesterday, like the lad's just like brushed his facial pubes for Leeds, and he's rolling on the floor and he's down, and he actually made the game stop and come on. He's an absolute bell end. And one who gets to me like this is the fidget spinner. He really gets me.
Yeah.
Anthony, he's the biggest fraud in football, I think. And I actually tweeted yesterday, the kid who come on that Garnacho was an unbelievable player, by the way. Why would you sign that Anthony when you know you've got him? So that's me, lads. I've got 4, but I think they're a good 4. Then.
Yeah, you've done well.
I can give you a 5th. I can give you a 5th that you've obviously forgot.
Go on.
The pigeon lad, Richarlison. I can't believe
I was going to say Richarlison.
I can't believe you've not got Richarlison. I was waiting for it.
You know what? He's that bad. Like, he doesn't score goals, or he's not even making blocks now. So, no, he's irrelevant, and he's like, he doesn't even play football anymore.
Yeah, I had Richarlison on my list. Everything about him, he's annoyed me ever since the Everton days. His celebration annoys me. He did a celebration when he scored at Anfield, and the image has stayed with me ever since. I remember when he tries to front up Van Dijk, it annoyed me. He's just an annoying gobshite, to be honest. Bruno Fernandes was on my list for exactly the reasons that Tank said. I have a random one. Ruben Diaz.
Yeah, it's a good
and
shout.
Do you know why? The sleeves.
What are you agreeing for?
The sleeves. There's absolutely no reason. And look, I'm partial to a tight top, Jim. You know that better than anyone. You know what I mean? But there is absolutely no need. I think he has those sleeves tailor-made to be high and tight.
Having a go at him when I've seen you wear large boys' t-shirts. And you're saying you don't like him because his top's too tight.
Yeah, no, but I grew out of it, Jim. I grew out of it.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I've just had to get my top since. I'll tell you a quick story, right? When I moved to Ireland, like they just weren't ready for my fashion sense. So I'd come over with these like low-cut V-neck tops showing me boobs, right? And the lads used to say to me, and I'd have like a scarf on as well at the time, like a little neck scarf.
That's
so
a bad bit of fashion, that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good. And they used to say to me, "Are you cold or hot? Like, what is going? Why have you got a low cut top and a scarf?" So I can relate, and I do realize that it's slightly hypocritical. Fair point, Jim. And then my final 2 are more on the pundit side of things. So, I can hear myself echo.
I can hear you echo.
Jimmy's mic went off then.
No, he's turned it off to see if the echo goes.
Turn
your mic off a sec there, Tank. If it works. Oh no, actually, do not press anything. Do not press.
Turn it off. Rip it out and throw it out the window. That's turn it off.
I'll do my 2 quick, right? Hopefully the echo isn't too much. 2 pundits that I used to like Micah Richards. I used to get his shtick. I used to find it quite funny and refreshing. But I've seen him recently where basically a pundit is making a totally valid point and he laughs in their face.
That was Carragher, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'm like, I've had enough. I've had enough of that now. You need to bring more to the table. And then the other is Danny Mills. There is absolutely no reason why he thinks he's as hard as what he is and he can talk with such authority. He is an absolute helmet. And the way that he goes on, he honestly thinks he's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think who's the hardest person in the world here. Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? He goes on like he's Mike Tyson. He's not, he brings nothing to the table. And
he's not.
Yeah, he's not. Like,
he's not.
He's not. He is definitely not Mike Tyson. So yeah, Danny Mills, there's my 5. To finish, lads, because we're nearly up on time and the kids are going absolutely bananas in the garden.
I was wondering have your kids outside? I thought
absolutely going bananas. There's like 7 of them.
Looking, how mad on a scale of 1 to 10? How mad are you?
I'm an 8.8, and I need to stop the podcast because I'm going to go over the 9 here.
Is getting it after this. She's like, I told you.
So do you know what it reminds me of? And I was dead mad 2 weeks ago. Noreen brought the girls back, and she texted me at like. She actually texted me and was like, "Babe, you don't mind if I bring the girls back, do you? We won't be loud." And I was like, "No, absolutely not." Right. It was a Friday night. And this was the worrying sign that I should have realised this was a terrible idea. She's like, they'll all be gone by 1. It was 1:15 when she texted me, and I was like, "Oh fuck it, this is not going to end well." Anyway, they were here till 3:45, right? And you know the noise that was getting me? I have no problem with them coming back and having a session, but they kept saying, "Alexa, Alexa, turn the volume up. Alexa, put on a song." I wouldn't mind, lads. We don't have Alexa. It's Google. So they were shouting Alexa for 3 hours. And I was like, in the end, I had to control the volume and change the songs from upstairs. I was like, oh my God. So this noise is similar to the Alexa shouts the other day. But last question, right, for Tank. We got a question in from Blake, who wanted to know, who is the craziest player you have played against?
Yeah, it's tough one because I've not really played against. I've played more with, like, we had a centre half for Tranmere, Dave Higgins. He was a Scouts fella. I don't know whether you remember him. He was actually he was a really good player. Lads, he was the biggest spaceman you'll ever come across, ever in your life. He used to, like, bear in mind, I was a 17-year-old kid just coming to the team. So you'd have, like, me, left back, you'd have Sean Teal, centre half, and Dave Higgins, the centre half. And he was brilliant, Iggy, but the oddest fella. So you just, like, I'd be bombing forward or something, they'd be running back, and he'd just shout, Alan, Alan, and they'd be looking at him, and he'd go, what, ding? And he'd look at you like that, and you'd be like, what? And you just, like, get on with the game. And, like,
in the game?
Mad, just, like, random noises. And that's, like, that was his thing, what, ding? And he'd look at you, and he'd just go, and you carry on, and I'm thinking, what the fuck?
What did the opposition do?
I was brand new to this, and I'm like, the teal, and he was just like, fucking spaceman. Don't worry about it. So then, like, he'd be going up for a centre half and, like, for the header, and he'd just, like, go, scream and laugh. And he'd be like that, and he'd just go, bring it down, and then he'd go, whoosh! Look at the lads. What the fuck is actually going on here? And it had, like, a massive effect on the opposition players because no one knew what the fuck it was. These noises, all laughing, and, like, they wouldn't even jump for the ball, and the manager's going, fucking jump over the head, and they're trying to say, he's just made this mad noise, and you're watching it in English.
Don't want to go near him.
Laughing at him. And then honestly, God, it was the most surreal thing I've ever come across in my whole football career, like Higgy's noises. And he was famous from that. And then you had Andy Johnson, who we played at Forest, he was just fucking...
Am I right in saying you two are doing a podcast together soon?
Yeah, the large show we're meant to be doing in Nottingham. Yeah.
Do you need me? Do I need to pack my mic up and bring it?
You come down, it's in there, it's at the Nottingham, whatever, it's like the fucking, I don't know what they are, where they have conference or stuff
Nottingham,
like
whatever.
Jimmy, look at getting the sympathy invite here.
It's like, I think, like, they've put, like, a thing out for it, and, like, it'll sell out rather quick, to be fair, because, like, you know...
So Tank's saying you can't get a ticket, Jim, basically.
No, Jimmy, you can come here, stay with me. We're room together, Jimmy.
Oh, jeez, what could possibly go wrong? You, Tank, you arguably your craziest teammate and Jimmy on a night out. Jesus.
He's the lad who shot me mate and thought it was like, and proper shot him with a shotgun when we were out hunting, and went through his coat and was like having a go at me, saying, "It's only banter, you fucking weirdo," and it was a proper shotgun. And my mate's like, "That's all." He
shot me?
No, proper shot me mate, Les.
You sure you want to go on that night out, Jim?
Jimmy's coming.
I'm busy. I think I'm busy now.
Right, lads, we've gone way over the hour, and I'm going to go and investigate as to what. There's a Royal Rumble going on outside the cabin here, so I need to go and see what's going on. But I enjoyed that, lads. Great start to the week, as always. And we will be back Friday. You enjoy the live show on Friday?
I loved it, you know.
Yeah,
beer in hand. What was not to like?
Yeah.
Not wrong.
People seem to enjoy it. So
shit score predictions. What can go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the plan is for those listening, and a couple of people have messaged us saying, "Oh, we didn't know it was happening." The plan is, obviously things might change, but we're going to try and do it Friday night, 7:00 when we can. People come and jump on. There'll be a link shared on social media. Come and join us on YouTube or Twitter. The shows go out live, and the best part about it is, long-time listeners of the shows, people that we've come to know and engage with on social media, jump on. We recognise the names. You can ask us questions. We just all have a buzz and a laugh, basically. I absolutely loved it. So, yeah, the plan is Friday night, we'll do the same. So I'll make sure we'll post all the links on social media so you can come and get involved. So, yeah, we'll be back with you on Friday. Hopefully, Liverpool can get a win tonight in the Merseyside derby. It would be nice.
2-2 he's gone for.
What did I go with? I forgot.
1-0.
Okay, to the Reds. What did you go?
2-0 to the Reds. I've gone.
Okay.
Just by FYI, if I get the correct score, I'm 1 point behind Tank.
And Tank was the one that wanted us to shave our heads off. So
yeah.
He's not so confident now, is he?
No, mate. He's already shaved half of it off when he lifted his hat up.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. For you, Jimmy, just before I've got to be honest with you, mate. I've got a funny feeling that Liverpool are going to run riot tonight.
I have actually.
I've got a funny
feeling. Do you know my reason why? I actually liked Klopp's comments this week. It was bullish. He's staying around. There's noises that the club are going to back him and give him the spending that he deserves. And do you know what I think will be the biggest factor? I think there's a bit of a turn in that the fans now have realised, hold on, we've got to stop sulking for our fans. Yeah, we're shit. It's like, we need to just get behind them here. And I actually was thinking about a couple of the new boys. I know you're not a massive fan of Gakpo to date. Nunes is obviously a work in progress. It'll probably be the first time that they've seen a proper Anfield atmosphere because I reckon the place will be absolutely bouncing tonight. Yeah. So fingers crossed. Till we go 1-0 down, yeah. But anyway, lads, right, I've got to go, and they've actually stopped making noise now. Can you believe that? Now that the podcast is over. But that was fun. Enjoyed it. Looking forward to Friday already. Everybody that's listening, keep doing the splendid work that you're doing in helping us push the podcast. If you wouldn't mind just liking the video on YouTube, or if you could, actually, I haven't asked for this one for a while, leave a rating and a review wherever you get your podcasts, because all this engagement basically just means that in the charts and in the Discover Now tab, wherever you get your podcasts, the podcast gets shown. So like it, subscribe to it, leave us a review, or just tell a mate, and that would be very much appreciated. But make sure you keep the comments coming throughout the week because we love hearing from you. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week, and the three of us will be back with you on Friday on the live podcast with a beer in hand. So enjoy your week, look after yourselves, and we'll be back with you on Friday in the Boot Room podcast. All the best.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, lads.